It's 7, Mike.
Oh, yeah, that's the whole
Jerry, this document you gave me was really interesting. It says summary. I wonder if the full plan is somewhere.
Maybe
And
you
if
can
come-
I haven't seen it so far, but you might want to ask Diane. I mean, if
I'm ready to go.
Full plan. It would be interesting to read through and update it.
But again, I don't really want to have it in the
I'll continue my search. I
Open
find new
forum.
things every day.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm going to call the February 21st meeting of the White Bear Lake Conservation District Board to order. We have a quorum. We are called to order. The next item on the agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda. Does anybody have any adjustments that they'd like to make to tonight's agenda? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have an agenda. Next item is the approval of the January board meeting minutes. Does anybody have any adjustments to those meeting minutes? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the January meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Public comments. We reserve 15 minutes at each meeting for people, members of the public, to come and talk about topics that aren't on the agenda. And I think we're good to keep moving. New business. First one is approval of general records retention schedule. Sherry's been digging into this a little bit. And Sherry, do you have anything you want to say about this?
No, I just want to say that it is known as the General Records Retention Schedule for Minnesota Cities. It was recommended to me by the human resource person here at the City of White Bear Lake. It's from March 2021. I find it very organized and very useful. I think if I have any questions, I can probably contact Laura to find out if it doesn't fit our situation, what I might do.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the use of the general records retention schedule for Minnesota cities as our records retention document.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Watercraft storage fee. So everybody has in your packet a letter that we received from the City of White Bear Lake taking exception to us charging them for kayak canoe storage on racks that are not physically located in the water. And this is, I'm open to some discussion on this topic tonight, but personally what I think we should do is we should leave this with the LUC to visit or revisit our ordinances and see if there's a way that they can tighten those up or make them clear for this on this topic. Anybody else have anything on this at the moment? Okay, we'll leave it with that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we've discussed some aspects of this before. And the thing is, how far back from the lake can you store a boat?
Right. And I think just based on some work Mike has done, going through the ordinances, I think it's really a matter of cleaning up our ordinances so they're clearer to the member communities. Okay, so that will be an LUC item. Okay, thank you, Mark. Unfinished business, finalized executive board elections. We had nominations at the January meeting. Brian DeSmit, Chair, Meredith Wahlberg, Vice Chair, and Mike Pronto, Treasurer. Are there any additional nominations that anyone would like to make? Okay, would anybody like to move that slate forward for approval?
I'd like to make a motion to move the slate forward for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the slate of candidates. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. Thank you, Mark, for your work as Vice Chair, and thank you, Meredith, for agreeing to do that.
Thank you, Meredith.
Okay, review of the request for bids and selection of a surveying service. So we received 2 bids for surveying service. One was from E.G. Rude and Sons for $9,800, and the other was from Widseth, which maybe just goes by Widseth now. And they had a bid of $14,400. I will make a motion to approve award of the surveying work to E.G. Rude and Sons.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Okay, Mike?
Will we be able to add comments to it, or like requests now or later, or?
To the survey work?
Right.
I think that what we've done is we've provided a scope of work for the survey companies. The survey companies have told us what it would cost or what they would charge us to perform that scope of work. I think if we add additional scope items or expand the scope, then I think that we need to be open to the company coming back and requesting additional funds.
Okay. I was just thinking of reference points for the 300 feet, but yeah.
Oh, and I think that's something we should deal with when we actually get them on board.
Okay.
Okay, everybody make sure you're speaking into your microphones, please. Okay. Okay, so did we take that vote or do we just?
Not yet.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so Sherry, will you send a letter letting E.G. Rude and Sons know that we've awarded them this work?
And then is there a next step of action?
And ask them to notify you a week or two before they intend to do the work.
Okay.
They'll probably send a contract.
Yes.
And it may be that we sign this, right? There's a signature, so you can ask them that.
So we email that, I'll send that back to them. Will you have to sign it? Are you going to sign it tonight? I have it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next item, permit application Form 5 update review, and that's under Mike.
I'd like to talk long and eloquently about that. Has the LUC taken that up yet?
What's that?
The permit review?
We're meeting in between. We have to talk about that. Can we have a Zoom meeting, or we have to make it public if we are? Just my subcommittee?
For the LUC,
Yes.
you should probably put it out there as an open meeting,
Okay.
which isn't hard to do.
Right.
So I have the account. Do we have access to?
I know we had a Zoom meeting once at the very beginning, but I didn't set it up. Scott did. We must, I'm sure.
Well, I have a commercial account, so I was doing them during COVID.
Right.
So if you want to do one, let me know. I'll set it up.
Yeah, I'll get together with our committee, because we have a couple things on our agenda we need to get together, just us, and talk about, and that's one of them. So, but we just wanted to make sure we were doing it correctly.
Between you and me and Sherry, because obviously I'll send the details and you can post them.
Okay,
We'll make it happen.
thank you.
And is that the LUC, Mark, or this little subcommittee that's been set up?
Well, they kind of conjoin. So I mean, the subcommittee's going over this as well, but then we do have other things we need to talk about.
Okay.
If it's an official LUC meeting, then you should notice it to the public.
Yep.
If it's just a couple of people on a subcommittee, I don't think you have to.
Right.
Okay.
So if it's a subcommittee, I just want to say the purpose was just to do the forms.
Just to do the forms.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, I haven't made it to either of the meetings. All I've seen is the emails and things like that. So we probably need to have another meeting. I don't know that we,
The LUC or the smaller group?
the smaller group.
Yeah. And if you want to do that, I can still set up a Zoom. I'm just saying that you don't have to post it as an
Okay.
open public meeting.
Okay, good.
So, happy to help.
Okay, anything?
Sherry?
Are we talking about the form?
Yeah.
Okay. So we met 2 times. We had 3 of us at one meeting and then 3 of us second meeting. Not everybody was able to make it. Looking at the Form 5, because there is such a difference between commercial and non-commercial, it seemed best to separate them. So you saw 2 different forms from that. Formatting, we can talk about that later. It's not really what I think the purpose tonight is, just to look at, are we on the right track? Does it look good to you? We really should not probably approve the forms until they're all looked at, because things might come up by the time we're done, but Form 5 is the biggest one. So anyways, it was designed so that commercial application really just had everything referring to people who were commercial operators, they were businesses. The non-commercial addressed everybody who isn't a business. And so so there's various things in here. Let's look at the commercial one first, and I'll take your comments as well. Just looking at some major changes. One thing under the DNR permits, there's something called a lake service provider permit. When I was doing research on DNR permits, I found that is anybody who rents watercraft, they're a lake service provider, and starting 10 years ago, they were supposed to go through some certificate training every 3 years to learn about aquatic invasive species. So to me, that seems like something we should really support. I talked to the program director, who doesn't really have a good way to put that information out. And that can be in here and not in here. Are we going to enforce it? I don't know, but it's something that might be good for people to look at. I think Tallies actually was one. They looked at it, and they were one marina that in the area that did do that training. I think it expired, but they have done it. So that was something on there. Then we just did fees in a different way on number 7, or on number 6. Took away a lot of the information about how long is this dock, how far does this go out, how many, if you go out 100 feet, how deep is it? If you go out 200 feet, how deep is it? We were getting information from people that was from like 1994, and it's like, how useful is that, right? So we tried to really pare this down to what is the most useful for the people who are applying, and then for what we really need to look at. The fees, and so Mike came up with a really great way to look at fees. And so instead of having 2 different areas and telling us how do you use that watercraft and what type of watercraft is it, we just did it down to here, the different fees. And as you notice, the watercraft on the racks, that's kind of up in the air. So that's just on there. And then we put the adjoining property owners at the end. That's really the least important thing, right? That's something that I would take care of, but it's all put together in a way that hopefully makes sense to the applicant. And it fits on 4 pages instead of 6. Now, how this would work online, after we go through all this, then we'll look at that. But we're keeping in mind while we're going through this that this will be an online document. So any comments about that? Does it look good? Looking good?
This is probably too far ahead, but so for some of the fees, will it like auto add, if you put 14 boats, it'll add X
Haven't got
amount of
that far
dollars?
yet. No,
Okay.
that's a good, haven't got that far, right?
Okay.
But wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Okay, that was it.
Yeah. That is an online, I'm just going to put that on here, online math. Okay.
So Sherry, what are the next steps?
So I wanted input on this from the board. We'll look at the non-commercial one. Then just want to know in general, I don't know, Darren's not here. He's kind of the one that brought this all up. If you feel we're going in a good direction, then we're going to go with the other forms. We still have the other forms to do. The next thing is the license fee schedule. Not that we're going to change fees, but that has to be more efficient looking. It needs to be updated. So we would look at that as well. And I guess we would then give the whole package of forms and the license fee to the board to approve. Does that sound right?
And this would, yeah, that sounds good to me. And this would be for 2024.
2024. So the goal is we want it online, up and running by our August board meeting or right after that. I would hope we would get it approved no later than July. And I'm hoping we can work on the online stuff this spring. But yeah, we need it done by mid to late summer. So, any questions? Okay. Then moving on to the non-commercial one. Same thing, did the same kind of things, cut things out, made things easier, hopefully easier to use. The fees, and I put in there, like I said, Mike gave me a great structure for the subcommittee to use for the forms. However, I don't know how to work in the more than 4 votes into this. So this has to be worked on, and I'm assuming we're going to have another subcommittee meeting and we can talk about that. So I'm not quite sure about that. And then I don't know about where do you put swim float fees or public dock or mooring area fee. So again, it has to, whatever our license fee sheet is, it has to work with our applications so that's clear. So again, same thing. Any comments about that?
I'm sorry to ask, how long are you taking comments?
Forever.
No.
I mean, until it's done, until this is all done. So we can still continue on. You can email me or anybody on the subcommittee, and that would be Chris and Mark and Mike and myself and Darren are on that. And we haven't talked about when we're going to meet again, but hopefully at least once before our next meeting our next board meeting so that we can clarify the non-commercial fee thing. We still have to figure out the watercraft storage fee thing. So send comments our way, I guess.
And is it okay if everybody just sends comments to you?
Sure.
And then you disseminate those?
And I can bring them to the subcommittee.
Yeah.
If that's easiest. Yep. So that's it.
Okay, any discussion on these at the moment? Okay. Thanks for all the work.
Yep.
We're on to executive committee, and that's me. So the executive committee met, and we talked about a few things. We talked about were the bids for the surveying, and then some of these form items. And I'm going to contact the Rice Creek Watershed District about supporting us with the sampling program. The League of Women Voters did some work for the board back. This is back in 2011, something like that, and offered up some suggestions for how the board might improve. And so Sherry has brought those forward, and the executive committee is looking at those, and then we'll bring those forward to the board. There are some declarations that the board should be making, and this again came from Sherry or Alan, I'm not sure which one, about things like what is our official newspaper, when are our meetings, things like this, and that's a once a year declaration that we'd likely do in January from now on. And Sherry, are you compiling the list of things?
I am. It's annual designations.
Annual designations. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so those are the majority of the items. Another item that the executive committee discussed was salary for our administrator, Sherry. And based on a recommendation by the executive committee, I'd like to make a motion to raise Sherry's salary to $26 an hour beginning March 1st, 2023. And currently, Sherry's at $24 an hour. So this would be a $2 an hour bump. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Okay.
Gosh, surprise.
We haven't voted yet. Again, I'll ask, any discussion? No. Okay, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. And then, and that's it for the executive committee. Any questions for me on the executive committee? Okay, then we're on to Lake Quality Committee. Mike?
Back in November, I reported to the board that I was applying for a grant from the DNR for treatment for Eurasian water milfoil and for the survey. I got notification that we will receive a grant for $6,750 after all the work is done and we pay the bills and we submit the bills to the DNR and they pay us $6,750. That helps. That's it.
And Mike, is that, so that would be like for Eurasian milfoil? And
Yeah, I had to specify what it's for, and it was for survey and for treatment of Eurasian water milfoil. And until I hear that we get the grant, which I did, I can't contract any of those people. So now I can go ahead and start contracting that, so you'll be doing that in the next few months.
Is this the same as the annual money we seem to get, except when I drop off the application, that we get from the DNR?
Annual, it's offered, and we're fortunate to get it.
Okay,
I apply like lightning.
yes. I was 7 minutes late. Yes, sir.
Email and everything, I stop everything, and it's back. So I've filled out the forms enough times, and it's all online now, so
Nice.
I can get it back pretty quick.
Okay, any questions for Mike?
But it's not automatic.
All right, well, thanks for those efforts, Mike.
Legislature on what they want to do.
Okay. Okay, next is the Lake Utilization Committee. Mark?
4955 Lake Avenue. We discussed, sent them certified mail, tried to track them down. Chris, you can.
Found a little info, and
Yeah.
I think the gist of it is a lot of stuff is bouncing back, but we're going to give one last try with walking up with a certified letter and just, we believe, his brothers at the residence. So we're going to try to contact them one last time and see how that goes.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, he and his wife live in Indonesia,
Yep.
and he works for some oil company. So, but all the emails that we can find publicly and phone numbers are bouncing back.
Yeah.
I think Chris said you were going to try one more time to, door knock and see if we can get face to face. That's where we are with that. The letters went out to the commercial bay operators. Thank you, Sherry. And then permit applications. Cottage Park. So when we first started our meeting, the LUC meeting, we didn't have a full quorum. We sort of mulled it over, looked at it. But then later at the end of the meeting, we had a quorum, so we revisited. And they originally had asked for 16 boats when last year they had 14. They did redesign their dock. It looks actually a lot cleaner. And they want to go to 250 feet. We told them they could go to 250 or 4 feet of depth, whichever comes first, which is per our ordinance. And that it was brought up that we shouldn't, for everybody else, we tell them, we're not increasing your boat numbers, we're not increasing your boat numbers. So we felt it prudent to do the same here and say 14 is for Neighborhood Dock Association. We're just going to keep it at 14, but 4 feet and up to 250 if it's under 4 feet of depth. Any questions about that? All right. So in our meeting, we did move to approve, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. And so is that only for 14 boats?
14 votes.
Okay, and they've applied for 16, so.
They applied for 16.
Okay, a motion and a second.
Catch that one.
Are you sure? No, because I don't remember hearing that part.
No, that's where we had the quorum and we talked again on it and we said, let's keep it the same amount of boats as last year.
Did they hear that?
No.
No, they had left.
Okay.
Yep, that's why. Like, thanks.
Yep.
Application?
Yes.
drawing and-
No, they shouldn't have to do a new application. We just restrict them to 14 boats.
And what was the reasoning that if I'm going back to them?
We're just going to keep it to the same amount.
We're just going to keep it the same boat count as the previous year.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That passes.
The next one, McCarthy Estates, that's in Matamidi, kind of in between the city beach and Delwood, or in between the two city beaches. It's a renewal, no change from last year. Had no complaints on the dock, so the LUC approved it, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
The next, we are tabling. We had tabled it last month. We had some questions about the insurance and if it was a renewal with no change, which it looked like, but we haven't heard back. So we're just tabling it again until Mr. Driscoll wants to get back to us and answer our questions. I don't want to approve it contingent on his answers. So we decided to table that till next month.
And a late fee.
And the late fee. And then the fun one, the Wiper Lake fireworks. We move to approve and refund the application fee. And I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Did they actually pay that fee, Sherry?
They did not.
Okay.
I think it's been tradition,
Yep.
so they would pay it after.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes.
And then conditionally approve applications, I believe that's about the commercial bay. We've kind of getting radio silence there as well. But they need to get back to us, especially docks with a proper drawing and everything like that. So, Sherry, anything else?
No, it's just that Docks of White Bear has not submitted anything. I mean, he had a major amendment tonight. He was supposed to send something to the board prior to this meeting, and I haven't received anything. And I've called him and emailed him and don't know what else I can do. So we were going to have maybe Alan contact them.
Yeah, is it okay? Can you write them a letter
Can.
from an attorney? I don't know. They're not talking to us. Okay.
We'll work on that.
And Tallies as well.
Tallies and White Bear, yep.
And both these parties committed to give us information, and neither has come forward with the information. So Alan can write us a letter, and hopefully that'll get some activity.
Only going to hold them up, so.
All right, and that's all I have.
Any questions for Mark?
Thank you.
Okay. Lake Education Committee, Scott?
Yes. Our next big event is the lake cleanup on March 11th. For those of us who wish to participate, I told the Boy Scouts that we would join them at Bel Air Beach. I will put out the official lake cleanup sign. And they're not serving meals anymore. So just showing up is probably good. You want to bring an ice chopper, because stuff is going to be frozen in the ice. And I'm not sure what the ice conditions will be. But we will see you there. If Sherry said that she would join us. Any others, you can tell me, and I'll tell the scouts.
Yeah, I'm planning.
Okay, so
Two.
be 3.
Okay.
And of course, anyone else at the last moment can show
Snowy.
up. And, otherwise, we are starting to discuss what our educational program might be. Now, Mike and I are going to be doing we volunteered to attend workshops held by the Watershed District. Mike will attend next week.
February 28th.
Yeah, and I'll attend the March session. And these are like 4-hour workshops, and we don't really know what the content is. But that should connect us a little better to what the Rice Creek is doing. And the other thing is we've been just starting to discuss what our educational program might be for this year. We're talking about sending a flyer of some sort to all the lakeshore property owners. What the content of that might be. We just started discussing. We have some material on the yellow iris. And we could put together we could do an update on invasive species. We could also direct them to where our forums are and what we do and what their role is as lakeshore property owners. So we're just starting to percolate that, but we can get all the addresses from the 2 counties. And we could send out, I don't know if it's a newsletter, or you might remember in 2015 we did the same thing about zebra mussels. And we did that as a self-mailer. And there's a lot of real estate here in the paper that we could use to talk about different things for the homeowners.
That seems like a great idea.
And that's my part. Meredith can talk about social media.
All right, what I have planned for the time until the next meeting is to promote the ice cleanup and then promote the results. And then a reminder about the March 6th deadline for ice house removal. And perhaps something on snowmobiles getting too close to the shore. I don't know if you're all seeing that, but
What is the limit?
200 feet.
Okay. Okay, any questions for Scott or Meredith? Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report, Mike?
Treasury report you have in front of you, all sorts of numbers. I would like to, and we got lots of fees in, as you can see. I would like to make a motion to pay debit card number 4 and check numbers 4820 through 4825.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve payment of those items. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
Thank you. The next thing is the accounting support. That's for Charisse Letourneau, who does our treasurer's reports and everything. And it's time that we add a little extra because we hadn't budgeted initially. Add a little extra to the budget. And so I'd like to make a motion that we add $2,000 to the accounting budget for Charisse Letourneau going forward.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Same sign.
And we'll have that in the budget for next year if we continue with her. The next is the audit status, and the audit is ready, will be ready to be presented at the March meeting, and it can be in a PFD form that we get electronically. If you request a hard copy, please let Sherry know. And you can let her know now if you want, or email her, or whatever. But definitely in advance of the March meeting. And we also have an option of having them come and present it in person. So what do you think? Chance to ask questions and hear about, it'd be a good thing to listen to it. Hear about how they do our finances, what our finances are, what you can ask them, are we comparable to somebody else? Is our fund balance in line with other organizations this size? Just all sorts of questions come up. If you'd like to have them come and present it.
And there's no extra fee.
Might as well.
Okay, so that sounds like everybody's, so who will take care of making that invite? Sherry?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody know offhand right now if you'd like a hard copy of, because he said he could give us as many as we wanted.
Oh, I'll have one.
I'll have one.
I could get just 10, just to have available to board members, and make sure we get one in the file. But I also send you the PDF. Or should I just get 5?
I want hard.
Yeah, so 3 of us want hard copies.
Yep, and I want one for the office for sure.
Yeah, fine, I'll take a PDF.
Okay, cool. So I'll get 5. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and you'll come to the meeting, okay. Anything else, Diane? You've been working with them. Is there anything else I missed?
Nope. Good.
Okay, any questions for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike. Board council report, Alan?
Thank you, Board and Chair. I think we covered the executive committee. One of the things that I was tasked to do was to reach out to the law enforcement folks to see if we could get a little bit of extra patrol in the commercial bay this summer, watching distances and boats and things of that nature. I did call DNR to see if they'd be interested, since they do send out a conservation officer. Didn't hear back, so that's either they're really busy or really not interested. I just don't know. Had a better conversation with Mike Tambago, who I've had here before you guys before, and he welcomed it with open arms. So he's out of town this particular week, but before the next meeting, we'll either get him here to talk about it or I'll firm something up with him. But he said he'd be more than happy to put the X-Patrol out for us. And so other than that, no citations on the lake for the last month, and I would stand for questions.
Any questions for Alan?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Announcements? Jerry, do you have any announcements?
I do not.
Anybody have any announcements? Okay. And adjournment is the next item on the agenda.
To adjourn?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That passes. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Minutes.